Yeah, age is a weird thing.
It is a weird thing.
You know?
But it's really, I'm scared of growing up too fast.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, I mean, I'm 19. I was using drugs for years on years, just now getting sober. And I feel like I grew up too fast. Like, I was trying to be an adult so young and early. And I'm scared of not being in touch with that, like, youthful, playful side of myself.
Right.
Because that's what makes life fun.
Right.
Like, that's where the simple pleasures come from with, like, being sober.
Well, I think it's what you're fearful of is like losing that imagination, that spark, that curiosity that kind of dulls when you're an adult, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like the magic of Christmas, you know?
Yes,
like,
I don't have that anymore.
I know. It's like, well, Santa ain't fucking real.
Yeah.
You know? But it is real on some level. There's like the spirit of something, you know? And like, I think if you can kind of be mindful of that and not fall into that trap and not fall into, you know, that cynical kind of mindset, you know, like I really think that being an adult is a mindset, you know, because there are fucking a lot of adults that are my age, including myself, that don't act like adults.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like it's just recognizing the value of responsibility and hard work and not taking the, you know, the easy route.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's a lyric and a line, a line and a lyric. I'm dyslexic, by the way. So
are you really?
Yeah. Yeah. You should see my spelling. It's atrocious. I have a master's degree. It's absolutely atrocious.
Anybody can get a master's.
For sure. You're right. I always say that. Someone will take your money.
Where were you going with that lyric and a line?
Just the easiest path is the hardest way down, you know? And I find that as a youth, we're trying to take shortcuts a lot, you know? We're hoping for that instant gratification.
Yes.
And oftentimes it leaves us hollow, you know, leaves us without purpose or meaning.
Yeah, no depth.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely didn't feel like I had any values or morals for the longest up until the past few months.
Right.
Like, I didn't feel like a person. Like, who am I?
Right.
I didn't know who I was and what I cared about, what my beliefs were. It was just all passed down things.
Totally.
That I was just taking on. Like, I guess I'll believe that. I'm going to take on your ideas, your thoughts, and just kind of, like, copy it because I can't think of anything myself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think on some level, like, that's useful, you know? I mean, it's like you have to have a foundation. But I think that if you transition into adulthood or as you grow, if you don't kind of challenge or question those beliefs and how they serve you, it really creates a lot of suffering in your life.
Definitely. I feel like that's where a lot of the fun is right now, is like questioning everything, like the whys and why should I believe that? Do I believe that?
Yeah.
So there's fun in it.
Yeah, for sure. It's fucking scary too. You know,
it is scary.
I mean, a lot of things that I valued, that I believed in, you know, I fucking don't. You know?
Like what?
Well, I'm 39, so when I was 20, I don't know, maybe like in my 20s, like I really valued like physical attraction, you know, like my physical appearance, and like I always wanted to have a hot girlfriend.
Yeah, she has to be hot.
Right, she has to be hot, and that's the main thing, right?
Yeah, fuck the personality.
Yeah, fuck that. Like, you know, she's got to be perfect, you know? Like, that's what I valued. It's funny because, like, certain people in my life, they value that. And, like, at my age, like, everyone's kind of hot. Like, that shit, like, it's a depreciating asset, you know? I mean, you got to be physically attracted to someone.
Yeah.
But, like, and really, like, what I thought I valued and liked, I remember a past girlfriend, she was like, what you think is hot is, like, porn star. I was like, what? And I was like, porn stars are fake.
Yeah,
right?
like
and,
unrealistic, not real.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, I kind of questioned it a little bit. I was like, holy shit. Like, and then I looked at the porn stars and I was like, it's all fake. You know?
The sex, everything, the words, the emotions, it's all staged. It's not real and genuine.
Right.
So you really like the idea of something, of like maybe like perfect girlfriend appearance wise and like the looks of everything.
Right. Well, I realized that I was more focused on what other people thought, right? Because I thought a lot of people were beautiful, you know. But then I would ask my friends, or you know, I'd kind of like put my feelers out there, and they'd be like, "Oh, so and so is not hot," and be like, "Yeah, she's not hot," you know. And I realized, oh, I'm not being authentic, you know. I care about what others think, you know.
Yeah. Especially like in a, what is that word? Like locker room talk?
Right, right. I just think that's a lack of knowledge of, you know. I think it's just ignorance, you know. I mean, there's locker room talk, you know, like in every area of our lives, you know. I would say women engages in locker room talk in other ways, you know. We're just, I mean, to me, locker room talk is like peacocks, you know, like strutting around, or like, you know, we're just trying to show off,
Yeah.
you know. But really, it's like this front, and inside we're scared, intimidated, you know, critical, and we just want to be accepted,
Yeah.
you know.
We just want to be accepted, so we just care about everybody else's judgment.
Right.
Like, what does this person think about me? They can't tell what's going on in my head, so I have to look okay.
For sure. But on some level, that's how we learn, you know? I mean, like I watch my daughter. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and man, she fucking knows more about, I shouldn't say more about my iPhone, but she knows a lot about my, like the iPhone, and like she learns real quick just from watching me, you know? So actually is what really got me to stop vaping
What was?
was my daughter. So I had I was vaping, and she goes, "Dad, what's that?" And I'm like, "It's a whistle." Oh, and she's like, "Oh, cool, whistle, right?" And so she'd watch, like, you know, like I'll try to do it in secret, you know, like vape. And then one day I saw her pick up one, right, and was like, "Dad, your whistle's broken." And I was like, "Holy shit."
Oh, dude.
You know? And I was like, okay, enough's enough. Never doing this again, you know?
Yeah, children are very observant, and they, especially at the ages of like 3 to
Yeah,
whatever, like 6, 7, 8. Like, it's just, we're gonna pick up what we learn from our parents.
right,
That's where a lot of us get everything we know, like those prime ages.
right.
So I mean, that's fucking cool though that you did that.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely, I mean, challenging at first, but, you know, kind of, I practiced what I preached, you know, which sometimes I don't always do. A lot of times I don't always
Yeah.
do.
Me
you
too.
know?
I'm
Yeah.
guilty of it.
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living?
I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work in a residential treatment center, primarily for substance abuse and mental health issues.
What's that been like? How long have you been doing it?
So I've been working. I've been working in treatment for about 5.5 years. I've been working as a therapist since 2014. So what's that, like 8 years, almost coming up on 9 years. I've always been fascinated with substance abuse, you know,
How come?
because I like fucking drugs, you know. No, I'm being facetious. Like, I just felt like I could relate to that population, you know.
How so? Like the behaviors?
The behaviors, the curiosity, the recklessness, right? I just felt like I resonated with them, you know? I mean, the creativity, right? There's just so many, you know, different elements, I guess, of people in recovery or addiction or whatever you want to call it, that just spoke to me, you know? I mean, I don't really, like, I kind of just fell into becoming a therapist, you know, and sometimes, like, I wake up and think, what the fuck? I actually help people, you know? Like, why would you want my advice?
It wasn't what you initially planned on doing?
I had
Therapy?
no fucking idea what I want to do.
It was meant to be.
I mean, I was a lost soul, you know. I just kind of, I don't want to say fell into it, but I just, you know, picked a direction and just stuck with it, you know.
It felt right.
No, it was hard, right? I questioned it all the time. I still got student debt, you know, but I just kept on doing it because I learned that it was better to make mistakes than to remain safe and stay in the same spot.
Yeah, stay
you know?
stagnant. Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of, I've learned that. That's what I've been like
Right.
actively learning recently, is like, I like to stay safe and comfortable. For me, being active addiction was safe and comfortable because I knew what it
Right.
felt like. It was familiar.
Right.
And then getting sober and actually making something out of my life seemed impossible.
Totally.
Like that was where the true uncomfortability was, and actually being consciously present.
Yeah, I mean, I think I spent my whole life, playing it safe, and on some level, I think that was imparted or like passed down to me from my parents. I remember as a young kid, I really wanted to be a hockey player. Now, growing up in Southern California, there's not a lot of fucking ice. Fucking barely rains, and I moved to Santa Barbara, and when I was a kid. When we moved in, the ice rink moved out. And so I never really had the opportunity to play. And I remember like telling my mom, I mean, I think this is how it goes. We all have revisionist history, but I asked her, or she's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a hockey player, right? And she was like, oh, that's hard, right? So instantly, like I kind of got...
Kind of like your dream being crushed.
I mean, I don't want to say it was crushed at the time, but I think it made me scared, right? And I think a lot of times parents, to teach kids, they make them scared, which on some level, right? You want to have a healthy fear, right? I get that, but you don't want them to be so fearful that they don't take steps, and where they constantly want to be safe,
Yeah, I feel like, we start learning to like be really scared of risks.
Right?
At a young age. It just keeps...
But I mean, as I've grown up and realized everything's fucking hard, right? I mean, you want to be a professional clown? That shit's hard too, right? Show up with makeup, little kids hit you, right? Be like, you're a fucking clown, right? And I've really learned that anything valuable in life is fucking hard, right?
Yeah, nothing comes easy.
Well, I mean, it's like, do you want the person that's easy to get with? I mean, like maybe it's fun at first, but you don't want to like, tie it down and marry it. You're just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, like, I don't know. You ever played Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
Right? The cheat codes are fucking fun, right?
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, for like 20 minutes.
Yes.
And then
you
you
get
run
so
around,
bored. You're
right?
like, I'm over this game. I broke it. I figured it out.
Right? You want a challenge, I learned this in hockey. Like I was really excited to play a game, against a tough team, and they fucking forfeited, and it's like, and they're like, I was disappointed, and they're like, well, you won. It's like, yeah, but it just doesn't feel the same, So
it's kind of like you like the path and the journey is the fun part, not the destination.
Fuck yeah.
Not the result. It's all about like, how did I get from point A to B? That in the middle part.
Right. But that's so cliche, because we know that, we've been told that our whole lives, right? I'm going to fuck it up because I'm dyslexic, but it's not the destination, it's the journey. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so like, I see that a lot with people that go to the gym, right? They want to get ripped, but then if they go to the gym to get ripped, they end up sticking needles in their ass because it's never good enough. The destination is never enough.
Yeah.
And so it's the people that like go to the gym for purpose, routine, discipline, accountability, right? They get shredded, but but it's not the actual destination. The destination is the journey, So, and I think that really ties into addiction,
How so?
In recovery, people focus on sober time, like days, and they think like, oh, if I get 30 days or if I get 30 years, like I'm going to be happy,
And be cured, recovered.
And it's like, bro, you're fucking sober right now. Like this is the gifts of sobriety right now, man. And like, I think that's what's so detrimental. I mean, like I love the program of AA, but I think my biggest gripe is the insane value of sober time.
Yes.
And it's not just sober time, it's fucking consecutive sober time. Right?
Yeah.
Which I get, dude. If you ever play video games, you get those medals, right? Reinforcement, fuck yeah.
Like the chips you get.
Right? I know, but if that's what you value, right? Because I think a lot of people, especially younger people, they're like, well, I'm going to get 5 years. I'm going to get, 10 years, which is cool. But when they get to 10 years, it's like, now what, And,
Yeah.
and to me, it's not really you're not really like utilizing the benefits of the program, you know?
Yeah, they care much more of the quantity of sober time than the quality.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like that's where a lot of, in my opinion, people fuck up.
Right.
It's just like, okay, I got a year.
Right.
I guess I did something. I made it, but I kind of still feel the same as I did like 9 months ago.
Fuck yeah. I mean, and really, I understand, like, especially when you fucking got a needle in your arm, right? You're living on the street and shit has hit the fan. You can't tell like right from left, up or down, right? And it's just like, just focus on one thing, right? Just focus on getting like 10 days. Like, I understand that, right? But it's like, keep it simple, but it's like you have to grow. I mean, that's what happens in video games. You know, you level
You
up.
love getting new skills.
Yeah.
All that shit.
And I think that's my biggest gripe about recovery and about, addiction, let's say, is that a lot of times, like, people, they don't explain the method behind the madness, you know, or like I always hear, like, go to meetings or like get a sponsor.
Yeah, and they don't say why.
Yeah, fucking why?
Like, why do I have to do that? How's it going to be beneficial to me?
Right.
How am I going to get something out of this?
Right.
It's like they don't know what to look for. They just have to like sit in a seat for an hour. That's my recovery for the day.
Totally. You know, and I mean that kind of reminds me of, like, you know, someone saying, like, you better go to church or you're gonna go to hell, or like, just don't use drugs.
Yeah.
Just stop. You know, like, it just feels.
Yeah, dude. Like the DARE program at school. It's just like, don't do it. This is what happens.
Right.
But it's like there's no real information about it.
Right. Yeah.
They just show like, don't do drugs, this is what it looks like, and then like the aftermath of doing the drugs.
Right.
That's it.
Well, and to be like, it's not fucking honest.
It's not.
You know, I mean, I was always told that, like, you know, drugs were gonna, rot your brain and ruin your life, right? But then the first time I tried it, I was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome, you know? And I think having an honest conversation about that, you know, like, there is some benefits, right? But then there's also fucking a lot of downsides, you know?
Yes.
And that kind of black or white thinking, you know, this is good, this is bad, right? Fucks us up. So
It was always like, yeah. Grew up thinking like yes or no, right or wrong.
yeah.
There was never a gray area, and it was confusing.
Right.
There was like, you believe in God or you don't. Never like you can make your own conception.
Right.
Or whatever it was.
Right.
It applies to a lot of things.
Right, for sure. Well, and that's like with recovery and like AA and the 12-step programs, when they talk about a higher power, right? I totally understand why people come into AA meetings and they're like, well, wait, some dude in the clouds is going to take away my my drug addiction, you know? But think about it. If you're on the fucking roof right now and you're going to jump off and say my higher power is going to save me, the fucking pet team's going to show up with a helicopter, you know? They're going to lock your ass up. I don't care how spiritual you are, you know? I think it's the lack, I mean, again, and this is what I find valuable in my life, is the idea of a higher power and how the idea of God is actually useful in your life, you know? Instead of this, like I was told when I was a little kid, if you don't go to church, you're going to hell. Right? Now, regardless of anyone's religious beliefs and stuff like that, okay, like, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, but like, to me, that wasn't very useful.
It's not. It's like
right?
fear.
Right? It's
like
fear.
Scare you and control you by using fear.
Right?
In a way.
But also, how the fuck does that make my day better? You know, like, hell is going to happen when I die. Right? Like, how the fuck does that make my day better now? You know? Through learning and, you know, reading and being exposed to different, just different people and different takes on you know, ideas of God and like scripture and stuff like that. Like, there's some utility behind it, right? So like when they say, like, when I hear someone say, you're going to hell if you don't go to church on Sunday, what that means to me is, dude, it's fucking hard to do anything on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do anything, right? It takes discipline. It takes routine, right? And it also gives you a sense of purpose. It also gives you a sense of connection, right? And so in turn, it creates purpose, motivation, right? And so really what they're saying is, dude, if you don't have discipline, routine, connection, purpose, your life is gonna go to fucking hell, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
They just have a funny way of wording it.
Right? But that makes sense. You know? And I think on some level, that's why people become addicted to drugs, because it gives you a fucking purpose, right? You ever seen a junkie feeding for fucking dope, right? Yeah. I mean the junkie in the most respectful way. Like, man, you will do anything. You know?
Anything, go to any length.
Any fucking length, right? Well, that's fucking motivation, right? That's badass, man. You know?
Yeah.
That's a strength. But it's like, it's just kind of pointed in the wrong direction, you know? Because it doesn't fulfill you, you know? I mean, for some, maybe it does. Like, there are some people that can go down that route. Like, I believe that there are certain people that are on Skid Row and they don't give one flying fuck. Right? I mean, like if we pulled 1,000 people, there's probably one of them, right? Those are diamonds in the rough, right?
That you mean that don't give a fuck by like, let me try and find a way to get out?
No, like they accept the consequences, right? Like they're willing, like that's their purpose. They find meaning and value, you know, in it, right? And they don't care that it causes destruction to their body. They don't care that they've lost their friends, you know. Now again, those are few and far in between, you know. I'm forgetting the name. There's this it was like this philosopher that the emperor wanted to meet, and he lived in a box, you know, and the emperor's like, I can trick this guy, or like I can get him to do what I want. And he goes and he offers the guy anything. And the guy says, all I ask is that you move out of my sunlight. Right? Like that guy's fucking hardcore. Yeah. But most of us we don't think like that, you know, like it's important to me to have value. It's important to me to have a family. It's important to me to have a job, you know, things that maybe that person doesn't, you know, value. I relate. Like today I want to build a life. I used to never want a job. I wanted to find a way to get money without actually working, right, or doing something that had meaning or purpose. I never felt before like I had a purpose or a passion. Right. And like now I found like that this is my purpose and a passion, like right, just talking about the hard to talk about things. Right. And putting it out there. And like now being sober, I got motivation. I was like, okay, let me do something with myself. Right. But before it was comfortable to stay there. I didn't necessarily want to find a way out. I didn't know if there was. It was just like that hopelessness is what overcame me. Yeah. And I feel like that's what happens with a lot of the homeless people on Skid Row, though. It's just like they just got to a level of like, I don't think there is a way out of this. So they just kind of like gave up. Right. Right. Well, I mean, to me, the way I view addiction and like the whole fuck the stigma. I mean, I'm kind of going off on a sidetrack, but how I view addiction, it's like you create your own cage, right? But you look for the key outside of the cage when the key is really in your pocket, right? And so the person on Skid Row is searching for that key outside of their cage, you know, when really they have it in their pocket the whole time. I mean, and that's kind of a metaphor for hell, you know? So, yeah. Yo. Mm-hmm. So, for you personally, what does this all, fuck the stigma, mean to you? Fuck the stigma. Fuck the stigma to me is like a philosophy of curiosity, questioning, and really learning about addiction and recovery, you know, and having an open and honest conversation about it, you know, and not be afraid to fail forward, you know, and have different opinions, you know. I mean, like in the field of recovery and addiction, right, there's so many different viewpoints, you know? There's plenty. Like, is it a disease? Is it a moral shortcoming? Right? Are you just a fucking loser? Yeah, were we really born with this or whatever it is? Right? You know, or the idea, like, I think a lot of times in recovery, people kind of, I always say they hold the keys to recovery land, right? They're like, you have to do it my way or you're not, or you're never going to get there. It kind of reminds me of like, denominations of religious sects. I don't know, like, it's like, it's my way or the highway, and I think that having conversations, open and honest conversations, I mean, some like what is recovery for you? What is recovery for me? What is recovery for, Jane and Steve? I think it all looks different, and I think sometimes just like having one viewpoint can really harm fucking a lot of people.
Definitely.
That
like, that's that black and white again.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Just kind of not being open-minded and not like considering somebody else's perspective, point of view, their opinions, and kind of just like invalidating their opinions because you want to be the one that's right.
Right.
Like, my opinion's the right one.
Right, for sure.
Even though we all can own our belief. We can just talk about it. We don't all have to agree.
Right. But I think that some viewpoints are more useful than others, sometimes. And like, but the goal of this is to have an open and honest conversation about it and learn, and I think in my career, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance and like there's a lot of letters behind people's names and shit. And, like people think, oh, I know, 'cause I went to college. And I'm like, no, you fucking don't, dude. You don't, like I know, some stuff from a book, right? But like, you don't know the meaning behind life, you can't peel behind the curtain of the universe, so like, I don't really think anyone's, better than anyone else, but like, I think that, certain opinions are more valuable than others, but I think this is a platform to talk about it,
Definitely.
Kind of feel forward, like, and ask questions and, like have an honest conversation, at the risk of sounding like a fool.
Yeah. A risk of people just hating your opinion or agreeing with it. It's just.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've really tried to learn how to not care what people think.
Do you think you're there?
On some level, but I mean, again, that would to fall into the trap of like thinking that it's a destination, right? I think it's a constant journey. And what I mean by not care what people think is that I fucking listen, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that everyone's opinion is valuable on some level, right? But like I'm not gonna change like what I believe to appease them, right? To seek their validation, or like also I realize that I can't control what people think and feel about me, and I've kind of let that go, Now I can do what I fucking can.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that focusing on myself is the way out,
You can definitely drive yourself insane just trying to figure out what another person thinks about you.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's just an opinion. How they choose to perceive you couldn't even be like accurate to who you really are.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. Like someone had to say, this is the rule, right? Or like, this is cool. I think this is cool. Like, do you ever think about like why the fuck do we think Nike's cool? You ever see those dope shoes, right?
Yeah. How did we get to that point?
Well, because someone had the courage to say, hey, I made this, right? I'm going to charge $125 for it. And like, but that's what's fucking cool is like someone valued it, someone liked it, and like, I think talking, kind of circling back to being an adult, I've learned to appreciate what people value, even though I may not appreciate it. Like, I don't give a fuck about like having a fancy car. I don't. It's not valuable to me, but maybe a close friend may value it, and I can respect that,
Yeah.
But it's not valuable to me, My Ford shows up. I ain't buying it.
I mean, it runs,
any race, Yeah. I mean, I like having nice things, And now that's not to say that I don't like for example, they think people like Nike or like a nice car as a status symbol, right?
Yeah.
Which are cool, which is cool, right? But I think for me, it's like you can get caught in the rat race of working all the fucking time,
Just to
right?
have that like nice pair of shoes or car.
Right, and you think, oh, this is going to make me happy, right? But you don't actually realize, oh, I'm actually going for a status symbol, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I got a status symbol on. Like, these Vans are status symbols on some level, right?
Yeah.
But they're $40. They're not 400, right? I'm willing to pay for that status symbol, right? I'm willing to engage in that. So, like, I'm not like we. I recognize that I fall into that trap per se, you know. But I mean, I always joke I shop at Target.
You do?
Yeah, I love me some Target. Yeah. Well,
That is, I feel like that the status symbol thing does circle back at towards I want to look like I make a lot of money, or
right,
like I can afford expensive things,
right,
and that maybe that'll make people like me more.
right.
Or I can post this on social media, people like see that I'm cool.
Yeah.
When
Which sorry to interrupt, but like I think that's what keeps people relapsing, right? Is that they're like, okay, well, if I stop using drugs, then I can get a car. I can get this, right? And then they start pursuing that shit, right? But then that just becomes an addiction, right?
oh,
But it's more socially acceptable.
it
know?
is.
So your mom's not like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You know, that sacrifice is worthy, you know? But people still blow their heads off, you know, with thousands of dollars, you know? I mean, look at celebrities, like, you know, or people that are rich, you know, like they're not necessarily happier than us, you know? I mean, it's easy to say that when your bills aren't made, you don't have a roof over your head. But like, I mean, they've done studies on that, and like, there's no statistical variance between people that have like $1 million and people. I think it's like $70,000, right? There's no like variance in levels of happiness, right? Now there is at the bottom, which is like, if you're fucking broke, that sucks, right? It sucks to be cold, you know, it sucks to be hungry, right? And there's, you know, like you're unhappy, right? But there's no real difference, you know? And so like sometimes we get caught in this rat race of thinking my life's going to be better if I got this fancy car, this watch, you know? And maybe for some, dude, it provides meaning and value, but for me, you know, it doesn't, you know, so.
It wasn't always that way though.
No, I mean, I thought that if I had the hot girl and, you know, like a bunch of money and, you know, status and stuff like that. I mean, really what I seek is, I mean, it's having a purpose, is having a reason to wake up every morning, you know? And when I do that, I can endure life suffering because life's just fucking hard.
It is.
You know?
The adult life of the responsibilities and such.
Right? But even being a child's hard, man, you know, like you still get sick, you know? I mean, I watch my little girl just sob, you know, and I'm like, oh man, like she's experiencing the hardships of life, you know, like the realization that we're gonna die, you know, it's like, yeah, life's hard, and without a purpose, it's even fucking harder. And I find that through responsibility, my life gets better. Now, I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching because I can be really irresponsible, right?
Yeah.
And when life gets heavy, I always want to escape and avoid shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But kind of reminding myself, you know, gives me hope and
Yeah.
persevering.
Remembering why you're doing it in the first place.
Yeah. You know, it's made my life better, you know?
It's definitely made mine better as well. But, you know, there's always different stresses that come with anything we do.
Yeah.
Like we have too much free time. Oh, what am I going to do with all this free time? I work too much. Oh, I can't have a social life. There's always like, I've realized there's always an issue with whatever we do. Our brain finds it.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. It's that negative inner critic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a constant battle. Like, I love playing music. I play in a punk rock band, and I find myself creating something and then I'll feel this like a moment of elation, you know, just like, yeah, like, this is fucking awesome. But then like that devil on my shoulder is like, dude, you suck.
Yeah, you could do better.
You know,
Yeah.
you're just a piece of shit, man. It's not even you can do better. It's just like, dude, you know you're shit, you know? But on some level, I kind of accept that. It's like, all right, I'm a piece of shit. Well, guess what? I'm going to have the courage to throw shit at the wall and make a beautiful picture out of it, right? And so, like, it's like the courage to do that, but also then the humility to realize that I'm just throwing shit at the wall, right? So I don't try to, you know, think that I'm God or anything like that. I can get pretty philosophical if you haven't noticed. If I'm fucking losing you, I can tend to go off in the clouds a little bit.
You're all good.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Yeah.
How was your experience?
It's fucking rad, you know? Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to have difficult conversations, you know? Be open and vulnerable and kind of let down your hair. I used to have long hair.
Wait, did I know you then when you had long hair? Or am
I mean,
tripping?
maybe we probably saw each other around, you know? I mean, but I think when I met you, maybe I was on the path to doing it.
Yeah.
You know? Right, yeah.
All right, it was cool having you on the podcast, dude.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you and
Thanks
you
for having
sharing
me.
what you had to share and like your opinions, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.